The ranch stretched out beneath the blazing red and gold hues of the setting sun, its vast fields and rolling hills bathed in a fiery light. Lily stood against the barn door, an old, weathered camera clutched in her hands. The camera had once been more than an object. It had been part of who she was, a tool through which she had captured the world, her art, her soul. Now, it was just a relic of a forgotten dream, a faint echo of a time before she had lost herself. Her gaze was distant, eyes fixed on the horizon, as her thoughts drifted back to another time, another life. The moonlight gleamed against moonlight, the white horse in the stall. The animal shifted, the soft sound of its movements breaking the silence. But Lily's mind was far away, entangled in memories she could not name. A faint sound behind her, the creak of wood underfoot, broke through her reverie. She turned quickly, her breath catching. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling slightly in the stillness, but no answer came. Only the wind, whispering through the cracks in the barn walls, responded. Lily's heart began to slow as her eyes adjusted to the dimming light. There, leaning casually against one of the wooden pillars, was Bash, his gaze fixed on her with an intensity that felt as if he had been there all along. "Why are you still out here so late?" His voice was low, smooth, tinged with concern. Bash had a way of appearing unexpectedly, as if he were always watching, always there. Lily didn't know how to answer. "I don't know," she murmured, with a faint smile that carried the weight of too many unspoken emotions. "I guess I just wanted to be here for a while." He stepped closer, the space between them narrowing. His gaze seemed to strip away every shield she had built. The silence between them was thick, charged, as if they were both holding their breath, afraid to say what they both felt. "You still have that camera?" Bash said, his voice almost a whisper. "It's like you're holding on to a piece of your past." His words hit deeper than she expected. "Sometimes the past is all I have," Lily murmured, her voice barely audible. "Everything else, none of it feels like mine anymore." Bash didn't speak immediately. Instead, he moved closer, until only a breath separated them. His presence was overwhelming. "Then why don't you take back what you've lost?" he asked, his voice both a challenge and an invitation, daring her to break free from the invisible chains that bound her. Before she could respond, the sound of an engine rumbled in the distance, cutting through the tension like a knife. Both of them turned toward the noise, toward the dirt road leading up to the ranch. The headlights of a truck cut through the growing darkness, casting long shadows against the barn walls. It was Caleb, her husband. "He's home earlier than expected," Lily whispered, her voice shaky, a mix of fear and anticipation. Bash's expression darkened, his posture stiffening. Caleb never came home unannounced, and this sudden arrival felt like an ominous prelude to something neither of them could ignore. Lily's heart pounded as the truck rolled to a stop, the engine shutting off with a finality that seemed to echo in the air. Caleb's flashlight beam cut through the barn, landing squarely on Lily's face. "Still out here?" His voice was calm, almost casual, but to Lily it carried an unspoken accusation. She stepped back instinctively, her eyes darting toward Bash, but he remained still, his gaze unwavering. The fragile bubble they had created shattered in an instant. The storm they had both avoided for so long was upon them, and Lily could feel it. Caleb's light lingered on her, his expression unreadable, and in that moment, Lily realized that the life she had built, the secrets she had buried, and the emotions she had tried to suppress could no longer remain hidden. Later that night, Lily sat alone on the wooden steps of the house, the pale moonlight spilling across the fields. The old camera rested heavily in her hands, as if it carried the weight of all the dreams she had once held. She was far away, her thoughts wandering back to a time when everything had seemed full of promise. Once, Lily had been a rising star in the world of photography. She had captured raw, unfiltered moments of nature and humanity, and her work had been displayed in prominent galleries. It was there, at one such exhibition, that she had met Caleb. Young, ambitious, and full of confidence, he had purchased one of her most striking pieces, a photograph of an untamed field bathed in the glow of dusk. It had been a moment of connection, and soon after, their whirlwind romance began. But the dreams Caleb had sold her, of a stable future, of a big house, and a serene ranch, had not fulfilled her. Over time, Caleb's work consumed him, and Lily found herself alone, lost in the silence of the ranch, surrounded by things she had once dreamed of but now felt stifling. Then there was Bash. The memories of him, wild and free, had resurfaced when he reappeared in her life. He had been the one to make her feel alive, untethered, unburdened by rules. Their shared moments in nature, chasing the perfect light for their photographs, had been carefree and full of adventure. But when Lily chose stability with Caleb, Bash had disappeared, leaving a void she had never acknowledged. Now, here he was again, a reminder of the life she had left behind, a life that felt like it was waiting for her to return. But could she? Could she step away from the life she had built with Caleb? The sound of hooves on the dirt outside the barn pulled her from her thoughts. Moonlight, the white horse, stood in the paddock, its large, dark eyes watching her. Lily walked toward the horse, her hand brushing its soft coat, and something shifted within her. Bash had returned, and with him, her own memories, her own desires, began to stir. She wasn't sure she could deny them any longer. Bash appeared behind her, his presence steady, his eyes filled with quiet concern. "Why do you always watch moonlight like that?" he asked, his voice low and steady. "It's like you see yourself in him." Lily let out a faint chuckle, but it lacked warmth. "Maybe because he has something I don't," she said, her voice distant. "Freedom." Bash didn't respond immediately. He simply nodded, acknowledging the truth in her words. "You don't have to live like this, Lily," he said, his voice rough but resolute. "You don't have to keep yourself locked in a cage just because you think it's the only place you belong." His words struck a chord deep within her. She had felt that cage for so long, but Bash's words made her question whether she had to stay in it. She wanted to argue, to tell him that everything was fine, but instead she found herself leaning toward him, unable to stop herself. The kiss that followed was inevitable, a release, a breaking of chains. It wasn't planned, it wasn't thought out, it simply happened. In that moment, she felt alive again, something Caleb had never made her feel. But as quickly as it had begun, a noise in the distance shattered the moment. Lily pulled away in panic, her eyes wide. Bash stepped back as well, his gaze steady, but she turned and fled, her heart pounding, leaving him behind in the barn. The next day, Caleb called. He would be staying in the city for a few more days due to an unexpected meeting. Lily barely heard him. She was lost in the chaos of her emotions. Later, she found herself drawn back to the barn. It was the only place that felt like home anymore. There, standing near the oil lamp, was Bash, quietly working on a bridle. He looked up when he saw her, and a small, knowing smile tugged at his lips. "Can't sleep?" he asked softly, his voice gentle yet filled with unspoken understanding. Lily didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked toward Moonlight, her hand brushing the horse's smooth coat. She didn't know why she had come here, but she couldn't stay away. Bash watched her closely, his eyes lingering on her, as if waiting for something. "You don't have to stay in that cage," he said again, his voice steady. "You deserve more than this, Lily." She nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of his words. The storm that had been building inside her wasn't over, and she wasn't sure what the future held. But one thing was clear. She was no longer willing to live in the cage she had built for herself.